Hey guys, in this week's video, I'm just going to be doing a short little review of Ryobi grinders and what I think of them. Now, the reason I'm reviewing these is because A, I have nothing else going on, and B, this one's on its way out. The power cord, as you can see, is ripped and torn in multiple different places. It's there, and a few more other places along it. So I just figure it's best to replace it. It's really not worth my time and money to replace the power cord in this thing when it was really kind of inexpensive to begin with. Now, these grinders, I'm pretty sure, are Home Depot's in-house brand, Ryobi. I've got a couple of their tools just kind of scattered around all over my shop, and I have to say I like them. They're really good quality. I have this grinder. I have the other grinder that you guys have seen me use. But this one was my first real one. It was gifted to me. I don't remember by who, but it was gifted to me, and I really like it. It was, again, like I said, my first real grinder. Now, the construction on these things does not actually feel cheap. It's very heavy, and this block up here appears to be cast aluminum or magnesium. I don't know if you guys can see that through all the dirt and grime on it. Now, this one is just your standard slide switch one, and I think it's lasted a long while. I've had this grinder for almost 4 years now, probably 4 or 5, and it's performed almost flawlessly. For a slide switch, I hear that they tend to break down a lot more often than a paddle switch. But this one has held up just fine. The body is a plastic. It doesn't feel cheap. Nothing on this thing feels cheap, which is a good thing considering it's, well, cheap. As you can see, the handle has 3 different locations to turn in depending on what you're doing with the grinder. And it does have a removable guard, which is actually right here. Now, the reason I took this guard off is because this grinder is strictly used for flap discs, or was strictly used for flap discs. I will be replacing it, like I said. And this flap disc was a little bit too big, and a few of them I had used were a little too big to fit within the guard, so I just took the guard off. There's nothing really too dangerous about using a flap disc without a guard. However, the other one, which I use hard rocks and cutting wheels on, I always keep the guard on that just for safety reasons. Now, I have been singing praises about this thing, and because it's really good for its price. You know, it was only like 25, 30 bucks. This one in particular. The other one I have is a little bit more expensive, but it's a little more powerful as well. But this one, for the $20, $30 price, is not really that bad. And it worked well for everything I needed to do with it. Now, the gripes that I have about this thing are very small. I don't really have a lot of them. The first one I have is the power cord. And no, it's not because of all the rips and tears in it. That's due to my fault and not taking care of this thing as well as I should have. But this thing is made out of plastic, not rubber. As you can see, it's probably about, I don't know, 30 degrees, 35 degrees outside, and this thing will not straighten out. My Makita die grinder, which I have laying somewhere in my shop, my Makita die grinder has a rubber power cord. You can see it's not really twisted up. I can turn it, I can straighten it pretty easily. The Makita has a rubber power cord, which I definitely prefer over the plastic ones because in the cold they tend not to stiffen up. My other gripe about this thing is it's not very powerful. I'm pretty sure it has about a 5.5 amp motor, which for doing like flap wheel jobs and sanding jobs is good, and for cutting through light duty stuff is good, but for really like any heavy grinding, it's not really that good. It's really underpowered. The other Ryobi grinder that I have, this one here, is very similar to the one I'm reviewing here. It's very similar to this one, except for the fact that it's got the trigger down here. It's a little more ergonomic, and it's got like a 7.5 or 8 amp motor in it, which is much more useful for grinding and cutting, which is why I keep a hard rock on this thing. So do I think that this grinder or any Ryobi grinders are worth it? Well, I actually do. I am not being paid by Home Depot to say this. I'm not being paid by Ryobi to say this, but I really like them. Both of my Ryobi grinders have served me very well, you know, over the last couple of years, and I'm really sad to replace this one, but I am going to be replacing it with a higher powered grinder, just one that has a little more oomph behind it. It's definitely not a Makita or a DeWalt or a Milwaukee, and it certainly isn't a Metabo, but it's like 25, 30 bucks for one of these things, and like 40 for the one I just showed you with the trigger grip. And you can quite frequently catch these things on sale as well, so I really do think that they're worth it for the price. you know, angle grinders are one of those tools that you can never have too many of, and these grinders really do fit the bill. So if you're looking for a good starting grinder, somewhere to get you started, a Ryobi grinder might be the place to start. They're inexpensive, but the drawbacks that come with that is that the power cord is cheap and they're a little underpowered. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to the recent subs. That's really all for me. I'll see you guys next week.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say